So we're here once again, and today we have DeAndre. Like,
Hello.
how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. How's the weather over in the UK?
Uh, the normal as it always is, grey and cloudy and rainy and cold, but weather I like. So,
Are you
yeah.
located right in right in the center of the UK? Kind of like more out somewhere? Or?
Nah, so I'm like an hour away from London.
Oh, okay, okay. How's
Yeah,
uh
yeah.
how's the scene overall? Like there, in London, but also kind of more far out where you are.
So like the scene, there's a scene in London, but there's like people that are outside of London too. There's like one in Newcastle, which is like really up north from me.
Mhm.
But most of like the shows happen within London. Like everyone will come down from everywhere and go to London for the sort of bulk of it. We're all like spanned out everywhere, but we come together when we do.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
kind of able to. Is there like a big trap metal scene? Like when you go to a show, can you perform with other trap metal artists, or is it kind of like still a building thing over there?
Um, yeah, there's quite a few of us. Like maybe like 3 years ago, it really wasn't much of a thing. There was only a couple people, but now there's a lot of people doing it. And I just came off tour with like a bunch of some of the main sort of people from the UK that do it, and it's definitely molded us together more,
Hmm.
brought everyone closer and things. And then like people like you probably heard of Scarlord surely if you're into like
Yeah.
drama. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like he did a show like 2 years ago in London and like everyone was there. So it was cool to see like how many people there actually are in the UK that are doing it.
Yeah, because I was actually going to ask about him, like how that must have changed the whole game for trap metal once because he's even one of the biggest trap metal artists in general. And then
Yeah, yeah. I mean I only got into it in like 2020, but like he was definitely prominent, you know, before then, but he's made a huge impact, and like pretty much 90% of the artists that are in this genre scene all take inspo from him somehow. So
yeah,
he's definitely left his mark for sure.
do you find like it's a lot of like people use the same sound, or is it more like the aesthetic that people like to use, or it's just genre?
Um, well, he definitely made a sound for people, but I feel like not a lot of people can recreate his like screams and his vocals. But in terms of his like style and look, that definitely impacted a lot of people, and even myself. Like my first style sort of derived from his thing, and it introduced me to the world of like all these trap metal people and stuff. So I think yeah, a lot of people sort of take something from him somehow.
Yeah. So were you able to tour like in places like Slovakia, more of those more inland places, Bosnia?
Uh, See, I would like to do a like a Europe tour. It was just a UK tour, so we did like some of the bigger cities in the UK, so Bristol, we did London, Birmingham. These are probably places you've never heard of in your life, but these are
Birmingham, maybe. I don't know.
Birmingham. Yeah, that's actually where Scarlett like came from in it. But yeah. So we did a UK tour, but I want to go to like the Europe company, yeah, EU countries for sure. Like I want to go Germany really bad and tour there, and it's just all of them, man, because that's like where a lot of the fans are from, are those sorts of countries. So like, I think it would be sick.
Is it like hard to kind of travel around there, like to be able to get over the borders? And is there a lot of bullshit to get through, or can you just kind of?
I'd probably say no. I mean, before when the UK was part of the EU, like we could just like go there like and not have to go through like security or like passport checks. But now that we're not in it, we have to like for time to get into those places. But I don't think there'll be any complications getting in there unless you're like had jail time or something or
Yeah,
been to prison or some shit. But
you're good. You never had
nah,
anything
nah,
like that.
nah, I'm a good boy, bro. I didn't do that shit.
Yeah. Uh, because yeah, for me, I kind of find like almost Slovakia and like somewhat Russia, I guess, is like almost the birthplace of like trap metal. I find like they seem to be the first ones to really take it on. Even if you look back in 2017, Scarlord and like surprisingly 6ix9ine performed there like way before. I guess it depends where you take it from. Like, who would you say is kind of like the originator of the whole
What,
genre?
like country wise?
Was or just in well, yeah, I guess country wise, but also just like what artist would you really say was the first?
I mean, yeah, I'd probably say like a lot of it does all come from X in it, like in 20, fuck knows when he started, but I started listening to him in like 2017, 2018, and he sort of did that sort of shout, scream rap stuff, like really aggressive beats and stuff. Um, God, I don't even know like who started it. I just know like many people that I listened to when I first got into it. So like people like Cameron, Artsy and stuff, and like Zilla, Subject, Cyber. God, yeah. I mean, I guess 6ix9ine, but he was like only did a couple songs with Zilla back in the
Yeah.
day. Um, but for sure, Russia is like a big fan base of that genre. Because I remember when like Russia was getting all their like banned from like everything, and they Spotify banned Russia, like everyone in the scene, like all of our like numbers went down because our Russian fan bases all just got
Yeah,
wiped off and stuff. So
that really
they
sucks.
definitely have a big impact in sure.
Because that's the same way, like all the videos that I post are basically all banned in Russia for some reason, like just automatically. And I'm like, that's where I'd like it to go because I feel like they would, even if, I mean, I guess they probably wouldn't speak English maybe, but
Nah, but I mean, a lot of them do because I work with quite a few like Russian producers and artists who don't live in Russia anymore, but like they are from Russian descent and stuff, and they they understand language and things. But yeah, it's a shame that all that stuff got banned.
yeah,
They have big fans of this aggressive kind of music, you know?
it's crazy. But Cameron Ozzy actually said when I interviewed him, he said that he was the one who actually coined the term trap metal in the first place. So
Yeah, yeah, I remember watching that. I was like, I did not know that. I mean,
I
I
didn't.
don't know who made it necessarily because like I was a listener in 2018 and stuff, and I knew it was a thing before then, so I don't really know who started it all, but like I know like the goats of it, like the main people that were really around in the early times, you know. So
Yeah, because like being in the UK, like you probably it's a bit better than Canada. Like you have your own scene, but probably by the time the American stuff starts to get to you, it's like a little bit like it's probably like about 6 months behind. Like it starts popping off over there. Because I know in Canada, like that's how it was for us with like certain things. Like we didn't even know about 6ix9ine until like Fifi dropped, so he's had this whole run already, and then he just got to Canada at that point, basically. At least where I
I
am.
mean, I don't know. I feel like we're pretty up to date with everything. Like I remember finding out about 6ix9ine, like God, when he was just doing like really weird shit, bro. With like all of his songs were like 2 letter words and all that stuff. He was he was definitely prominent here.
Mm.
Um, but I don't know about Canada. Like, I don't even know if there is a scene in Canada for this sort of stuff. Like,
Not really. I don't think. Well, like I said, it's hard to know. Like you'd have to go to Toronto. Like that's what people I feel like don't realize about Canada is like the whole scene is just one city. It's just Toronto. Like you can't really get like people like, oh no, I know people who popped off from British Columbia, and I'm like Canadian rappers who are like gimmick rappers who like rap about bear meat and shit. Like yeah, like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
you're not
yeah.
gonna get like another Drake out of there.
I mean, I know Night Lavelle's from Canada. I don't know where from. I don't know if you must have heard of Night Lavelle,
Yeah,
surely. Yeah,
he's from Ottawa, I think, which is in Ontario, but so still basically right around Toronto. But actually
yeah,
know
yeah.
somebody who went to school, didn't go to school with him, but went to the same school as him.
That's him. Yeah,
But
Night Lavelle. I love Night Lavelle's music. I like Canada as well. I've been there a couple times.
oh yeah,
Cool place.
were you able to perform or just like to visit?
Oh no, this was like when I was 16, like before I even knew what music was.
Oh okay. So did
Yeah.
you just start like touring like recently? You've been touring for a while.
So the UK one I just did was like the first tour I've ever done, but I've done loads of shows, but they've all been UK shows. I've not done any outside of the UK yet.
Hmm.
I'd like to say I'm pretty new to shows because it's only been like 2023 was like when I first actually did shows. Before that, I'd always done decline it, so I'm starting out, I guess, with the live music stuff. But this year, I'd like go to another country and do it for sure.
That'd be awesome. So is it kind of like, so your building process, if it didn't like really include like doing a bunch of shows, was it just kind of like you built up buzz on SoundCloud first, or was it like YouTube videos that really got you there?
Uh, nah. So my original thing before I did music was I was a fashion influencer
Hmm.
slash like TikTok or whatever. And I grew a fan base from that,
Hmm.
and then I then tried like I basically shifted that over to music and sort of stopped doing that fashion stuff and just solely did music. So
Yeah.
that's how I have like followers that I have because of my past times that I don't really didn't really, I mean I didn't really, now I look about it I'm like, oh, it's bare cringy, but it got me to where I am. So
I mean, I feel like it's really cool that that can actually happen over there because that's a huge thing. Is that like you see people blow up on TikTok and then they like ride the wave and then it starts to die off and then they try to pivot. But I feel like
mhm.
Americans, especially, they get so fucking angry when it's like, well, you're not doing the thing you were doing anymore. They don't like. So it's cool that you were able to actually like pivot and then still have people like,
Yeah, I mean, I got my fair share of that, and like I lost a lot of followers over the years, like from not doing that fashion stuff, and people still to this day will like message me like, "Oh, bring back, the old outfit posts and all this stuff," and I'm just like, people grow and want to do different things. Like I was doing that fashion stuff from like 2018 till late 2021, and that's a good chunk of my life that like I CBA to do that anymore. So
yeah, exactly. Like, well, they only see day. They only see your post. They don't see like day by day. You're doing the same. Like 3 years to for an artist perspective, like you look at 3 years for an artist, it's like, oh, they drop like a song here, like, but they're still doing that shit every day. But it's like kind of a
hmm
facade with the internet where people think it's like, well, you're not working that hard or putting that much into it. It should
yeah,
be something you can easily do and on the side.
yeah,
But
for sure, man. It took over my life so much. Like I was like, and I did all the photos myself with like a proper camera and a tripod, and it would take me ages to go out, and I had to go in public and do it all, and I'd be like I was at university as well at the same time, so I had to like juggle that whilst doing uni and stuff, and it started out as a hobby, and then it became more like a job, and I just sort of really hated doing it, so I was just fizzing shit.
yeah, I, I feel like it's not like too like it's kind of not too different because a lot of I don't know if it's so much anymore how rappers really do it, but like I know like 2018, 2019, like that's basically a whole rapper's Instagram. It's just them in like different like clothes, taking different pictures, photo
Yeah,
shoots. Like they didn't even really post their music, and if they did, it was more so just like a snippet or something. And still, they like so. But I can see why it's
yeah.
like,
I thing is even having like a like back then, TikTok and like and Instagram Reels wasn't like as big, so like people weren't dependent on short form video content to promote their music. It was more about getting a cool outfit on the gram and like trying to gain fans from that, and then sort of, yo, here's my new music as well, go listen to that. So that's what worked back then, but now it's way different. You got to upload 5 million times a day to TikTok to get like 10, right.
it's good and bad. Like it's like they basically almost make you out like give you an addiction to the internet where it's like they give you that one boost where you get that huge thing of, and then it's like, oh, the big high, and then you're just grinding to get that again, and then
Yep, yep, that's how it is. That's how it was with me. Like when I was doing the fashion TikToks and stuff, like I would get a couple videos that would get like over 1 million and stuff, and I'd be like, oh yes, gas. And then it started to like sort of decline a bit, and then I was like, it just made me feel really shit about myself because like the stats were going down, doing wrong, and
yeah.
it's not good, but it's it's not bad at the same time.
And like I kind of understand now where it's like you see certain rappers like they get lazy after they hit like really big and then they don't really post and you wonder why, but it's like I kind of understand it now because it's like if you ever hit the numbers of like Lil Pump or Famous Dex or some of these guys, you're never going to be able to top it. Like you get like 10 million like followers and then it's like you're never going to get like 20 million or 100 million, so now it's like it's all kind of
Yeah,
downhill.
yeah. I mean, if like for me, if I ever hit those numbers, like I'd just be gassed to be there because I'd be set up for life. I wouldn't really be too bothered about trying to one up myself. Like if I can stay consistent around those numbers, I'll
Hmm.
be happy because like I don't have to work again. I can go fuck travel wherever I want all the time and all this shit. So
But some people, it's just like their personality. Because I know they said that, like I don't know if you know who like FouseyTube is.
yeah, 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 yeah.
He kind of they said like he used to be like really hard worker, and then he wanted to get to 10 million subscribers so bad, and then they said basically right when he hit that, he had no more goal anymore because it was like what's next, 100 million, that's unfeasible, and then basically that's when he started going right off the deep end because it was like,
Yeah,
but I guess his personality type more than anything.
I see that. I see that because it's. I mean, it's easy for me to say that now whilst I'm still on my path of where I want to be.
Mm.
Like, because there's been times where I have achieved a goal that I've wanted for ages, and I'm like, fuck, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? So I sort of see that, but it's just about having, like you said, his next goal was 100 million subscribers or something. Like that's sick. You
Mm.
need to have like intermittent goals in between that, so there is that sense of accomplishment along the way. Otherwise, you will just feel bare lost. Like when something's a really far stretch that you know it's like near impossible to get to.
Yeah. But I think it's like it also comes down to like some people you shouldn't try to make the whole thing just about numbers because like numbers are awesome. It means people are paying attention to what you're doing and like you might be able to
Yeah,
get to a point where it's like, okay, now I can do the thing I love every day and not have to, maybe not every day, but like it's my full-time thing. I can put as much time as I want into
yeah,
it and not feel bad about it because now but I think there's different types of influencers where like the addiction really is just the numbers. It's not like, but like you're saying, you're like a musician, so it's like you just want to be able to get your music to as many people as you can, but you also love
yeah,
it. So it's not just like,
yeah. Being the numbers thing is like such a curse and like a blessing at the same time, and like so many artists need to understand this. Like numbers are not everything, and every artist will go through like a stage of where they're so obsessed with numbers and like all they care about is like going up. And I've had that before, and it's great when you're going up, but when you start going down, it's like the most soul crushing thing ever, and it like makes you not want to do music or whatever you're doing. So I'm trying to teach myself that like sort of get the fulfillment and enjoyment out of just making the music for myself again, and then sharing that with other people, and other people loving it is like all I need for me to get that happiness
and it's
rather
a,
than
yeah, and it's also like you want to get like you really want to build like that inner audience. Like, you said you went away from like clothing. You might have lost like followers, but you probably gained like supporters, and that's what you really
yeah,
want. Is
yeah,
like that true. You may have 100,000, but within that group, you have like 20,000. They're the people that show up for everything you do, and as long as
yeah,
you keep
100.
them, you know.
I agree with that, man. Like that's definitely what you need, and like that's with like the people that have like those viral songs on TikTok. It's all well and good that they can get 100 million streams from it, but like when they try and do a show or something, they'll have like 100 people turn up because that sort of virality doesn't really turn into hardcore fans type stuff. And like what you want is those hardcore fans because after that song starts to die off, you don't have anything left. You're back to square one. So that's what I'm trying to do is build a really solid fan base, with with those sort of core supporters, as you said.
And it's like hard. It's like I like to analyze it. It's like so interesting to see because obviously the hardest thing to do is to get your first big song that really pops off. But in my opinion,
Yeah,
I think it's what you do after that that is so hard to, because it's like you get the big song. Okay, so now you have a huge song. Do you ride it out? Do you remix it? Do you try to get everything you can? If you wait too long, people won't care anymore. Then you got to drop the second song. If the second song
yeah.
sounds too much like the first, it will be a hit, but then so you got to try something different. But if you do too different,
People
they
won't
might not
like
like
it.
it. So you're just like
I mean, that's the game of it. And like I think if you get a viral song, like go ahead and milk it. Do a speed up and a slowed version,
yeah,
but don't like do a speed up, slowed down feature every new week with someone different doing it. Like do a couple versions of it, then move on to the next song because you don't want to just be known for that one song. If
yeah.
people don't like the new music that you do after that, like you're not just gonna do one song and that's it. You're gonna do loads of songs after that. So there'll be another chance for these people to find something else that they like.
Yeah. Lil Nas X definitely the king of that. Like, what did he do? Like 17 remixes of Old Town Road with like,
Yeah, but that's what like labels and industry are like. Like they will make you do that shit. They will squeeze that song until the last penny is like out of it, man. So
it's insane though
yeah,
that he managed to make that like the basically the biggest song of all time. It's like the song that was on the Billboard Hot 100 for the most weeks in a row, like 17 weeks or something.
Okay, that's crazy. That's crazy. I remember hearing it all the time back when it first came out, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is hard at first," but then like it got to the point where I was like, "I'm so sick of hearing it."
Yeah,
Like all I could hear. But fair play. I mean, he's fucking minted off of that song now, so you know.
yeah. And also, I think it's like kind of like you said with the whole label thing is what I'm noticing a lot too. Is you could be
Hmm.
like, well, obviously you're an artist and you're a person, and you could be like creative. You could do tons of different types of music, and you could even be like have a normal style that you run with. Then you try something different, you blow up with that. The label signs
Yeah,
you. They're like, that's your fucking personality now. You know, you make one emo song, it's like you're an emo rap artist now.
yeah,
You're like, this,
yeah.
that's like
That's
Juice
why
World.
like why getting signed to a label is like kind of scary because they just sort of they will make you do what they think's best no matter what you want to do,
Hmm.
and like that can screw you over so much because it can either make you just lose inspiration for music in general, or you can gain a fan base for that music, and then when you're unsigned and you're doing whatever you want, like all your fans are gonna be like, yo, what the hell is this shit that you're doing now, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I wonder if it's any better there though. Like if the labels are less sketchy in the UK, or if it's like,
Uh, I mean, I can't really say from experience because I've never been signed, but I have some friends that have been signed, and like the one they were signed to, they were pretty good and nice, so they seem all right. But a lot of us that do get signed, it usually is like US labels. It's not even I don't even know that many UK labels really that are
no.
like big doing stuff for like trap metal sort of alt rap scene. It's always just drill music,
Hmm.
pop and all that stuff. So it's, you know.
You would hope that they would understand it a little bit better because I think that, especially with trap metal, like labels don't know anything about it. Like, and now that I've kind of looked over City Morgue's whole discography, because I listened to a little bit of their early music, and then I basically
Hmm.
got on with Volume One, but I
Yeah,
never listened to the SoundCloud songs before. And now that I have them, like I can really see how the label like did actually water this down quite a bit. And
yeah, 100%, man. I like their SoundCloud like unreleased stuff way more because
mm,
it's like more aggressive and like more raw and stuff. But some of the label stuff is good, but you, as you said, you can really see how they were like, nah, we've got a certain sort of target we want to hit with this genre. You know,
yeah,
you could tell it wasn't really them.
exactly, because I even noticed like when they first started, they had like almost like five distinct styles where it was like they had the horror stuff, they had like the
Yeah.
repeating like go go go, they had the aggression like probably what most people know them for like the like generic trap metal I guess. They had
Hmm.
like hyping up Sos Mula and then Sos Mula going crazy type songs. And then it's like,
Yeah.
it's funny they got away from those horror beats for three whole volumes and then only started to go back to that on the fourth one. It's like, I would have liked to see that incorporated. Like, now that I've heard that, I'm like, I wish a lot more trap metal artists would use those beats. Those beats are like amazing, you know?
Well, like Thrax beats and like those really aggressive sort of guitar beats, things like that.
No, it's like more like, I don't know. It's like more like they'll put like, like more like I don't know, like a horror, like,
I
you
think
know?
like yeah. I think I know what you mean. I mean, some people do use that. Like my older style with music used to use a lot more horrorcore type beats, like really evil, eerie sounding
Hmm.
beats where it was like made you feel a certain way. But it is a dying art, maybe those sorts of beats. It's got to be done right, you know.
I kind of have like an unpopular opinion where I don't actually. I kind of agree with Zilla where I don't think like a lot of people love Thrax beats, but in my
Hmm.
opinions, it's like most of the songs with Thrax, it's like the beats are almost too much. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
their
I see
vocals
that.
can't shine because the beat is overpowering them. Like,
I see that. I felt like when I used to heavily listen to Zilla and Toast back in the day, like a lot of their beats were produced by Thrax, and I would like a few of the songs, but then I'd listen to more, and they all sort of sounded the same a little bit. It was like the same sort of guitar riff, like over and over again.
hmm.
Um, and I would have liked to have seen some diversity, but I guess that's what made like Thrax like beats iconic was that like really heavy guitar type shit. So yeah.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it's not like it's like, oh, I love Young Germ either. It's that I just with artists in general, I know that it happens. Like you get in with your producer, that's like
Hmm.
you either live with him or like you work with him every day, and then you want to use his beats. That's your guy. It's easy to do. Sometimes you get like
Yeah.
free or whatever, and you want to give him
Hmm.
credits and help him out. But then it's like it gets to the point where it's just like you got to kind of it's not a coincidence that a lot of rappers' best verses are features because it's like then they have to get on a different type of beat and it's like that's
Yeah,
crazy. You should do that shit more. Like,
yeah, I agree with that, and I used to be the same with that. Like when I was doing like shadow rap stuff, they like I always wondered like, oh mate, I love my features. They sound so different, and then it was because I was being forced onto different sort of beats, and now like every drop I do, I try and do like a different genre of beat just to keep myself on my toes and like bring something different every time, so I don't sound the same
hmm,
as my last drop or some shit, you know. I think it's good to change it up often, you know.
yeah, it yeah, it's got to be hard to know when to really do it because it's like if you do a certain style really well, of course you're gonna want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But it's also if you like I don't know. I feel like it's like when you're more still building up or whatever, it doesn't matter
Mhm.
as much. But it's so weird to see like just like the audience synopsis because it's like see somebody like NLE Chopper, right? Completely
Mhm.
changes his musical style. They hate it. They don't
Yeah.
listen to it. Then you got Polo G. He did the same thing for 3 albums, and they're like Piano G, switch it up, bro. So it's like,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
do you
You
win?
can't win. It's but that's how it be, you know. And like even my fans and followers would like a couple of them were like, "Oh, go back to like your old stuff." Da, da, da. And I'm just like, "Nah, man. Like as an artist, you wanna experiment and do new things because you will just hate everything you make if you do the same thing over and over again. Like it's not good to be like that, you know." So
And I think that's more so like they want you to go back to that old style more so because at the time they were listening to you back then was a great time in their life. And so they want to
yeah,
relive that and they think like if you can make the same music, it will but it's more so you just have emotional attachment to those old songs. And even if you made the same type of style, they're not going to have the same emotional attachment,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I don't know. It's like a lot of these artists that you want to go back to that old style. Like I'm sure they've got lots of songs in that style. Like just go and listen to it again. Like we don't need to make something new just because that's what you want. You know, as much as the fans are what allow us to live and do this, you have to sort of respect the fact that if you want us to continue making music, we need to sort of do what we want and have a bit of room for movement and improvement and stuff. So
Yeah. It is it definitely gets to that point where it's just like frustrating where it's like, well, now excuse me, I don't know if they're actually breaking up, but it's like City Morgue's kind of like splitting up. A lot of people are upset. I'm like, I feel like it's not a
Mhm.
bad thing because they could go off like because the best song I think they dropped recently was Boogaloo off of So Smooth's latest project, where it was like
Mhm.
on that kind of I don't want to say Cardi, but kind of like Cardi beat, and then it's like Zilla was the feature, and it's like it's a
Yeah,
song where I'm excited to hear Zilla Kami rap. These two rap together all the time, but it's like
yeah, yeah,
I so I want to see them go in that direction and try some different stuff. But then you got fans who are like, well, they can't break up. But it's like, but you've been saying it's been stale for the last two projects, and even some
yeah.
people hate all three of them. So
That's what I mean. You can't win ever really in this stuff. But I don't know. I think them breaking up, like, it's not like they've had beef or anything, so they could easily come back in like 5 years and do another thing. Like, it's not like they hate each other; they're still friends and stuff. So I
no,
don't,
exactly.
I don't think it's bad. And as you said, is they their fans are saying that they're doing the same thing over and over again. So it is probably a good thing that they're taking a little break from the city morgues, for however long that may be.
Yeah, and it's not going to be like I know like a lot of people hate it. Like Shoreline Mafia.
I've heard of
It's like it's kind of weird. It's like a group of four guys, but it's basically they only signed two of them, and they're like the actual group. I don't know. It's super strange how it worked. But they
okay.
basically split up, and then both parties just went on to go make the exact same type of music like separately. So people were like, "Well, you guys shouldn't have broken up." You know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't
Yeah.
feel like that's gonna happen. I feel like I love Sos Mula's new style, and like
hmm
I don't know what Zelakami's gonna do, but it's like, you know, that's
I
definitely
I feel like because with Zilla, he's like gone more like post punk sort of like rap, and I am all there for that. Like his new style, and a lot of his fans are as well. They like this like more chill sort of music he's releasing. So I feel like they're going in their separate directions in a good way. Like I think it's gonna be only good things from here on out from both of them. You know.
mhm. And you look at somebody like with X, it's like it's funny that people get so upset about that because it's like he switched his style and people loved it. Like he started going for the more melodic stuff, and I feel like if you can't do that, you can't do that. But a more trap metal artist should try to go for more melodic stuff, and then like it might catch people's ear because it's the type of thing where it's like you got to ease people into this genre. You need to give them something
Yeah,
that's palatable, then maybe a little bit harder, and then eventually they're gonna be listening to Little Darky. Like you know what I mean?
yeah,
They'll
yeah,
get there,
yeah,
but if you just show them Little Darky right off this, they're gonna be like, this is just noise, and they're not even
yeah.
gonna give it the time of day.
Yeah, definitely. And like I'm seeing a lot of people from the trap metal sort of genre that like were only doing like really edgy, dark, scream, shout stuff back
Hmm.
in the day. They're now like incorporating some melodic stuff into their music, and like their fans are loving it.
Hmm.
I think it's a good thing that everyone is evolving in that way, and I think it's just gonna make the scene more diverse, have more opportunities and room for growth and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's like it's kind of weird because I feel like in metal in general, and it's like it's kind of weird because like I don't necessarily even come from metal. I don't actually like metal music itself. I just
Yeah,
like,
no, I'm not the biggest either.
but they're very like gatekeepy in that genre as well. Like they want it to be a certain thing, and then rap is inherently like maybe not so much anymore, but at a certain point very gatekeepy as well.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like you mix those two things, and then people are like, "Well, trap metal's not even really established to what it needs to be. Like we haven't had those big enough artists to really." And it's like, I get it, but it still needs to innovate in a way because it's like if there's 100 artists that are just like doing the Zilla style or 100 artists just doing the distorted X beats,
Yeah,
it's not going to be able to grow. And it's like I do get
yeah,
it. You do want the classic stuff to be there too, like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
I think I don't know, like, because the trap metal scene back in like 2020 when I first joined was like everyone was hopping on them like distorted, messed up beats that like are just almost noise. And like I feel like the time for that has sort of passed, and now there's like a new sort of wave and genre of it going on where it just takes pieces from all different genres and puts that into one beat that still can sound aggressive, but like is more palatable for new coming people and stuff. And it is very much a growing. People say trap metal's dying, which I mean it is and it isn't. Like it's not dying, but it's sort of changing, and like the genre is sort of turning into something new. Like a
hmm.
lot of the. Have you ever heard of funk before? Surely you've heard of funk music. I don't know if you have, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah,
like
mega viral. A lot of that came from like a lot of the big artists in that came from the trap metal scene. So it's like, you know, people are taking it and applying different elements to it and turning it into something else, you know. So I think there's a lot to come from this genre, whatever it may be called.
and it's strange that people are like saying that trap metal's dead. It's like I think it's just that people need to more so understand. It's like we're at the point now where the music industry, for a certain point, SoundCloud started to pop off, and then it was like people right out of their bedrooms were able to like make music and go straight to the mainstream, and that was great.
Hmm.
It was a super cool thing to see for a couple of years, but the labels caught on, and they were like, "Nah, we're that's making us obsolete. Let's change the whole rules to this game so we
Yeah,
people still need us." So it's like we're just gonna have to have enough like agency. It's like if you like a certain type of music, go find it yourself. Go listen to it. Stop saying like stop sitting on Instagram and be like music is dying and all these genres are washed, but you won't go seek anything out. You'll just sit there and listen to Doja Cat over and over again and then say this is washed, this is washed. You're letting the labels put whatever in front of your face and then being
yeah,
upset they're
yeah,
not putting the right thing in front of your face. Like,
100%. But the thing is like with the growth of like TikTok and stuff, like that is making labels way more obsolete than it was back in the day, because now a lot of the labels, their main way of getting viral isn't just through connections all the time. It's just people getting their artists to make TikToks to go viral and stuff. You can do that yourself without being signed anymore. So it's like the whole game of music is changing so much more. Like you don't really need a label to blow up anymore. Like you could easily do, well, not easily, but you can do it independently, way easier than you could like 5, 10 years ago. You know?
yeah. Like it isn't I feel like it is and it isn't because it's like when 2020, like you said, right in that era, you got like Pow Fu and all those guys that were blowing up with all those songs, and it was like almost
Mhm.
like the rebirth of SoundCloud for a while. but I feel like
Hmm.
labels caught on really fast, and it's like as soon as you started getting like Jason Derulo, Megan the Stallion, like all of them, like they started manufacturing like, okay, how can we like take a song to a lab and like manufacture it to be the most catchy thing in the world? And
Yeah.
you still do get, because I feel like that like gnarly bastard song, like I feel like that's somebody just put that out. I don't think that's like a big label backed thing that was put together.
Gnarly Bastards. What? Isn't that an X song?
Oh, Lovely Bastard. Sorry.
Oh, love. Oh no. See, I know the people that made Lovely Bastards, and they they um they just made it beforehand, and it
Mhm.
was like just gaining traction on TikTok, and then a label sort of approached them when it was like getting super popular,
Mhm.
and that just obviously helped it way more. But I managed to get on the remix of Lovely Bastards, and I was so
I
gassed
see
about
that.
that.
That's why I brought it up too. But
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is cool to see that. I mean, there's no problem with that. Like they got it out there, and then the label got on it. It's just I don't like when it's like, because it's still a good song. Obviously, people attached
oh yeah,
onto it. I just don't like
yeah,
when the labels are actually like, let's let. It's hard to explain, but it's like some of the big time rappers, like
hmm
Coi Leray, Megan the Stallion. I don't want to say only women, but it's like trying to think of somebody else, like 24K Golden. Those are like
hmm
characters that the label have made up. Any actor could play those. Like 24K Golden is just something a label like created. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Anybody
yeah,
could. They'll just slot anybody into that persona that they want, represent it basically. So it's like, and then they're writing. I'm not. I don't want to go just in general, but it was an
yeah,
example. I don't want to go just to him. They're writing the songs completely, and then they're getting them to say it in a certain inflection, and then they're putting the persona off. It's like at that point, it's like there's nothing real at all about it. It's like you're an actor at
yeah.
that point.
There's no substance. But that's like how it is, and with industry plants and stuff like that's just how it is, and that's how the labels make their money, and that's why independent artists and stuff. I like listening to the lesser known stuff. Like I don't listen to radio or pop or anything like that because it is just sort of all the same. I feel like from these underground people, you get so much realer music, and you get real people who are like actually putting like everything into creating what they're creating. And I feel like it's way better than any Drake song or fucking whatever else is in the main charts. I will always say that the underground is way better than the pops. Like
Oh yeah,
it just is. Man.
and I think it's also, I think part of it also is that like people just don't get outside as much as they used to. So it's like the underground is like named as so because it really was like underground. Like you went to warehouses in
Yeah.
person and then listened to the stuff and then started to like it, and then eventually DJs started to play it, and
Hmm.
it grew from that, where it's like people don't really, like they do go to shows and they don't. I don't know. I feel like it's still, we're in the place where it's like people do want to go to shows, but you got the kids who are like not really, all those kids that were like in high school during COVID, like they're really fucked socially, right? So they don't know how to go out to a show and like have a good time and like actually move their body. They're just like gonna want to stand there
Yeah.
and just be like, you know what I mean?
I feel that for sure. Like I joined in the music scene in lockdown. Like that was the reason why I started making music. Is I think it really made a lot of people want to stay inside a lot more.
Hmm.
I feel like we are recovering still from that whole thing years later. But when I do see people go to shows like these underground shows and stuff in the UK, like they're even if it's their first show, I've met people where it's their first show and they're like, "Oh, this is so sick! Like I wish I came and did something like this sooner." So I feel like if you really push yourself to go and do it, like you actually will have a really good time.
Yeah, because then you'll see the community, you'll see the real life
Yeah.
stuff, you'll see like, and that's what you're saying, where it's like people are huge online, and then they
Mhm.
go out and they can't get people to show up for a show. But it's like the people who are showing up for the show is what really gauges like how popular you actually are, like how,
Yep. Yeah,
but
100%.
you know, but then you're gonna go online and everyone's gonna be like, who, you know what I mean? And then like,
Yeah, that's how it is. But it's just finding a balance between that. Like, I don't know. I really want to have a core fan base that I could go do a show and sell it out because I've got such like a strong fan base than just be known for like one song. I think in the long run, that's the better plan to have.
Hmm. Well, like
It's easier said than done.
even looking at like I'm noticing now, a lot of these more they're not. It's hard to say they're not underground, but the bigger people like in the scene, I'm
Mm.
noticing they don't usually blow up with one song. Like the Suicide Boys blew up with a whole project, and I feel like that's what you really want. Or like even Ghost Main, it was like it kind of was one song, but it was kind of like one song led into another song, and then he had a
Yeah,
project, and then it was the
yeah,
big song, you know. So it's like,
yeah. That's a good way to go about it. Like if you, because I feel like Ghostman, Garlord as well. So I guess Suicide Boys as well. Like they all have mad fan bases that literally are so tightly knit, and I think they got it good because of that. They could just sell out anywhere they go. They know that when they put out a song, it's gonna do well no
mm.
matter what genre or what it is because they've got them like solid ass fans.
Because it's crazy, like the way that people like portray stuff. It's like obviously like Drake can sell out a stadium, Kendrick Lamar can sell out a stadium. I
Yeah.
think probably J Cole, like those artists. And then it's like you're thinking like, oh okay, well what other artists like Future probably can, Lil Baby probably can. It's like no, it's like it's Russ, the
Hmm.
Suicide Boys, like the people you wouldn't expect, but it's like people like those people. Everybody hates Russ online. They think he's like, well you guys got your own version of Russ, don't you?
Uh, we have a yeah, I think we do have a Russ.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a drill artist, actually. I'm pretty sure. See, I don't really listen to the main UK music. I
Oh yeah.
actually really can't stand it, so I try to avoid it. But I know, yeah, Russ Millions, I think, is what his name is. He's not hated, I don't think, as much as your guys' Russ is.
I don't.
He's
I seen
pretty
it. I think it was a Trap Lord Ross video where he was talking about like the other Russ, and he said people also hate him or something. And
really. I could not tell you because I'd steer clear of that genre entirely.
do you have any thoughts on him?
I mean, I've probably heard his songs in clubs because I know his voice is really distinct. He's got like a really high pitched voice or something, and he did go viral actually. I think for like a dance that for one of his songs, and I did not enjoy the
Oh,
music that much, but I can respect the fact that he's making p off of it. So do your thing, but it's not for me necessarily.
I actually I met Trap Lord Ross.
Oh no, I'm not too sure about him.
No, I never heard of him.
No, 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 no.
He's like he calls himself now. He was kind of a YouTuber that covered a lot of SoundCloud type stuff, but now he calls himself like he's a reporter. So basically, he like exposes like gangs and stuff in his videos. So
Okay, yeah, no, I've not heard of that guy, but that's pretty dangerous work if you're exposing gangs and stuff. Like these kind of people
the people are
don't
saying
really
they're
get.
gonna get him touched out in the UK and stuff. I'm like, damn,
Yeah,
like
like I don't think I don't think that's a good career path to go down to do
no.
that sort of shit.
I agree. Like I keep saying that to everybody. They're like, maybe you want to dabble a little bit, like talk about this person who's doing shady stuff. It's like I'll do some, but I never want to become Trap Lord Ross because it's like
Yeah,
tons of views, tons of money, I'm sure, but miserable life because you're just like
yeah,
you can't
man.
go anywhere. You
Nah,
know,
nah. Stick to making the good content that doesn't solely rely on drama and illegal things.
especially
Better way
that
to go
stuff.
about
You know,
Yeah.
I know nothing about like I've never been. There's no gangs where I am. I've never been part of affected by it in any way. So for me to just like start making videos on that, it would just be so. But it usually is like just random white dudes who make videos about gang stuff. I find
Is there no gangs in Canada like at all, or is it just like where you live? It's not really a thing.
Toronto there probably is some sort of
Okay.
gangs, but I couldn't tell you like if it's actual like formed gangs or it's just like people just group up. Like there probably is, but you have to have a big enough city, right, to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
able
yeah.
to do that
Well,
type
I
of stuff.
mean, like in the UK, I feel like there's like a gang in every town or city that you go to. Like, wherever there's drugs and stuff, I'm sure there'll be some form of gang there.
Yeah. You ever see those videos where it's the guy, he's like, if you ever go to the UK, what you want to do to like introduce yourself is you want to go to the nearest subway and then like go up to any guys you see with masks on, and then like give them this certain type of handshake. They're gonna love it, and then ask them if they have it on them, and that's the way to. Anyways, like
I feel like everyone online like they always clown on the UK for like because we don't have guns and shit, so like the gangs just fight with like knives and stuff mainly. I feel
yeah.
like we get clowned on about that, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, careful when you walk around in London because you might just get stabbed randomly." Like that doesn't happen that often. Like you won't just be walking down the street and someone will just be for no reason. You know that you either have to be part of like an opposing gang or start shit, or in the unfortunate event where you're getting robbed or something, which I don't think happens as much as people think it does. You know?
I, I mean, to be fair, like I know they do clown on the UK and stuff, but it's like if you got to think about it, what would I rather be involved in? Like if I'm walking down the street, a gunfight where I'm gonna get hit by one bullet and probably die, and then not have to, or like a knife fight where people are like, I'm probably gonna get cut 3 times, I'm probably gonna get my eye stabbed out, and then I'm probably gonna die in the hospital like 4 hours later from like AIDS or
Yeah,
something, whatever's on the knife.
it's pretty graphic, I guess, but I don't know. It's like I want to go to the States, right? But like I am genuinely a bit concerned because like everyone can just carry guns like anywhere they go or something like that. So like
Well,
that really worries me because I'm not used to that here ever. Like no one has a gun really unless it's illegal or if they're a police officer. So it's like
I'm not
you don't
from the
see that.
states, but I don't think it's as much as you would think. I think it's like certain states, like Texas. Yeah, probably everyone has a gun. In Florida, a lot of people have. But if you're New York, they do not. Like if you're caught with a gun, you can get tons and tons of time. And
Oh,
the
swear! I thought it was like everywhere in America you can own a gun, like
the more
just
like
carry it.
liberal states are like more against guns, I guess. And then like the more like conservative down south, like that's more where they have guns. And it's kind of like I don't know if I can really compare to it, but it's like in Canada, it's like kind of a mix of both things. Where it's like I
Okay.
remember being in high school and people are like, it almost makes it worse that they don't have guns because people would just like kill each other with bike chains and stuff and just like brass
Whoa!
knuckles, like anything they could find, pick up a piece of concrete and bash somebody's brains out with it, like just crazy shit.
I thought
Um,
Canada was like a nice, happy place, man. The hell?
well, it's
It's
like
not.
some places I'm sure there's like a lot of like drugs, a lot of meth, a lot of like they're decriminalizing it in a lot of places, so it's just like getting worse.
What meth? They're decriminalizing that.
Yeah, like all drugs basically because it's like they want to do safe, like they want a harm reduction, so you give the people the needles they need to shoot up so they don't get a dirty needle,
Yeah, I guess I see that.
which
I guess.
kind of helps because there's like a lot of around here you'll be at a playground and they'll just be like needles like everywhere, so it's like it
Oh,
incentivizes them to pick it up. They don't really
yeah.
care though, honestly. They'll just shoot anything they
Any.
can.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like walking like just down by my apartment one day and like I went to go like piss in the woods and like
yeah.
I ended up like tripping over like a tree root or something. My hand went down. There's like a needle like right there. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh God.
You guys
Hell.
like got all different drugs in the UK. It's like ketamine, right? And like
Yeah, but like that shit. Like people mainly do that when they go like raves or like drum and bass events and stuff. That's where you'll find that stuff. And pills as well. That's where people mainly do that. I wouldn't really say you'll find like junkies doing it on the street. I
no.
think they just do like bath salts and stuff.
Bath
So
salts? What the fuck?
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
right.
actually know what it is, but I know it's called bath salts, and like they like sniff it, I think, and it
Hmm.
makes you go like fucking crazy. Like you'll be walking in like cities and stuff. Like I was in Leicester the other day, and it was just a guy in the street just shouting like at nothing. He was just like having an argument with like the air, and
Hmm.
it's just like he's definitely on something, and you will probably see that a fair amount in the UK. They don't really do much besides just go a bit crazy and then just walk off randomly.
It's probably like math or like it could be PCP. Like that shit makes you go fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Who knows? Either way, they're crazy. So
The shit that like they get like the drugs that they those are the fucking like spice and K2 and all that. It's basically like research chemicals that they allow to be sold at gas stations because it's like they want to let the public experiment with it. So it's like, oh, if you're a doctor, you go to the gas station, get some K2 and you can mix it up or whatever, experiment and it's like people just take it and just shove it up their nose basically and then it's like
Right.
You get these robo trips and all this like this off these weird artificial highs and like
Yeah. Ah, fuck all that, man.
you know, I used to know kids who would like go buy bottle or not even buy just steal a bottle of NyQuil just off the shelf, just drink the whole thing and like it gets you high, but I don't think it's fun.
Is it like lean or something? Like Quill?
It's no like the thing about lean is that that's like doctor prescription stuff that you actually have to like go and get, and the main component in that is codeine, which is like supposedly gives you a nice high. It's like kind of like a painkiller. Codeine is like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the NyQuil is like it has a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of codeine in it. So kids who can't get actual lean like think it's lean, but the main component in it is like DMX or I think it's called DMX or DXM or something. Anyways,
Hmm.
basically what it does is it just like makes you imagine just not sleeping for like 8 days. Like it just takes you down, so you're super tired. So you start like hallucinating, but not in the way that you would on psychedelics. It's more like if you're super tired and you start seeing like shit out of
Yeah.
the side of your eyes, and it's so mixed into your reality that you can't tell like it's a hallucination. Like it's more real. Um,
That's
yeah.
fucked up. Fuck that.
You ever hear all those kids like
Oh.
dying from the Benadryl challenge on TikTok?
Nah.
That's the same thing. Like if you pop like 40 Benadryl, you'll hallucinate, and people are like, "Oh, it's a good substitute for acid," but it's more like you know who like Scarecrow is from Batman?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
How he
yeah.
hits you with that like stuff that makes you
Like,
see.
gas. Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
more
yeah.
like that. Like you know,
Oh my
you
god.
see spiders, people with hats, shadow figures. You hear voices in the wall.
What's Bennett? What was it that you said it was? Bennequil or something?
Benadryl. It's an allergy medication actually. Um,
Because I know that our like drug names for like painkillers and stuff have a different name, but are the same thing in the States. Like we have paracetamol, but in the States it's called like something else. I don't remember what it's called, but either way, that yeah, that's fucked up, man. I don't know why people would do that shit.
is it the only reason I said ketamine too? Is because like the only idea I really have about like I guess the UK drug scene is just like I think I seen Bexy on No Jumper and he was talking about how that's the only thing that was out there. You know him or know of
uh,
him?
yeah, I know of him. I met him once
Hmm.
recently. But there's more than just cat. Like that's only at like I don't know. There'll be cat. There's like pills, ecstasy, all stuff like that. Like
Hmm,
you'll
ecstasy.
find this all at like raves. That's where the majority of it's at because there's loads of lights and like loud music and it's like have a great time.
Yeah.
Shit. So
Because like in the UK they have like that's like where the real rave scene is. Like America tries to like, but they say like UK like that's where the best ones are in the whole world basically.
yeah, man, definitely. Like I feel like the American ones, I they don't like we like drum and bass here.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that genre or anything like it,
No.
but it you should. I don't know if you'll like it, but it's like it's a good genre. I like it,
Hmm.
but the American version is like EDM and almost like dubstep stuff. Like that's their raves.
Hmm.
Ours are nothing like that. Ours are drum and bass, and like we'll have like we call them MCs, but they're just like rappers who just like freestyle over the top of the beats and stuff. It's hard, man. Yeah,
It's like a
it's
more
sick.
consistent musical, whereas like dubstep is just like you wait and then you get the drop and then everyone like freaks the fuck
Yeah,
out and
yeah.
then
I mean, it's kind of the same. Like I feel like dubstep is just a lot more. I don't know how to put it. Like dubstep is more like kid friendly sounds in a sense, but like drum and bass is it can be a lot more heavier, and there are a lot more different types of drum and bass. Like you got like I don't know, you have like bassline ones. You can have things called rollers and stuff like that. There's loads of stuff. It's a whole genre you should just explore if you're interested.
sounds interesting for sure.
It's cool, yeah, yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I was just wondering if like so you said you like I know you're not super into the like the mainstream stuff, but is like he like a bigger artist over there like Bexy? Is he like a bigger artist or
Uh, I don't know. I haven't really heard his name around like in a while. Like when I first sort of was hearing lots about him, it was when Lil Peep was still alive,
yeah?
and I mean, I guess after he died, that like you would hear his name about from the whole incident and stuff. And
Hmm.
after that, I didn't really hear a lot about him. But I did actually see him on my TikTok feed like a couple weeks ago or months ago because he I think he's coming back. music or something.
Hmm.
Um, but I know he has quite a UK fan base, but I can't say that I'm a part of it, so don't
Yeah.
really know too much about him.
I was just wondering if it crossed over because it's like he kind of was somebody that went to like America to get bigger, and then I wasn't sure if
Mhm.
like the UK would like reject that and be like, no, you got big over there, you can't come back over and try to be like,
Nah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think we're that gatekeepy. I mean, you should be happy if your favorite artist blows up in whatever country because it allows them to continue doing what you supposedly like listening to, you know? So I think it's a good thing if you blow up in a country that's outside of your own, but it's good to have fans in your country,
hmm.
but wherever your fans may lie,
America
let
is
it be.
like America's even bad about like its states. Like that if you like are from wherever, well, I don't know, I can't even think of a state like Wyoming, and like you start
Okay.
doing a different style, like they'll reject it, and then you'll say you go to LA and blow up, then you'll come back and they'll be like, that's our Wyoming style, even though when you were trying to blow up in that scene, they're like, what is it? We don't want to listen to that. Like Ghostman, Suicide Boys, all those guys talk about that. They're like, when we were blowing up, people didn't want to fucking hear it whatsoever. They're like, what is this trash? Then we went and
Yeah.
blew up, and then we came back, and they're like, "That's our Florida sound." Like,
Nah, man, what the fuck? We don't get that here. I guess we're too small of a country to have states or anything. So, but I don't understand that, man. Like,
it's just you're always gonna get hate from, like, the place you're from before anything else. I find I don't know why it is. It's just like when you're from, nobody wants to see. I think it's because people like nobody wants to see somebody else win from where they're
mhm.
from. But then if you go blow up somewhere else, like they don't know you, they probably haven't heard of you before, and then they're like, so it's not as competitive. It's like, I can't, like, fucking Billy can't blow up. I went to high school with him. If he becomes a bigger artist than me, like, I can't handle that shit. Like,
Yeah. I get that. I mean, I try and be happy for everyone that I see win, you know. But there are those jealous people that just hate on you for that reason. But like, I say, let them be sad and live their sad little lives, just watching you from the shadows.
yeah,
But jealousy, silly man.
but that's even the newest thing is that like I kind of get it and I kind of don't. There's a lot of artists now who want to like go down to like Mexico or whatever and try to start making music there. And it's like
Mhm.
it's kind of a weird scene because there's really from what I can tell and like people will probably be like you're completely wrong, but from what I can tell there's only really so many big people like, in Mexico it's like Annual AA like Bad Bunny's huge, like he's a huge artist, but it's
Yeah.
only like 3 or 4 of them. So if they
Mhm.
drop any given week, like you don't want to drop around them, basically, right?
Mhm.
It's like dropping the same time as Drake, but there's only 4 of them, so they don't drop every week. So you can just like
Yeah.
drop a random week. There'll be no other projects, and you'll go number one, and then it's like I'm number one, and it's a lot easier to do. So a lot of people are like clowning on that. I think it's good and bad because it's like I think you should try to build your fan bases in different parts around the world,
Yeah.
but it also is a little bit like a little bit corny because it's like I know like fallen off like YouTubers and TikTok stars will go over there and start a music career and then come back with all these fucking plaques and be like, look, I'm fucking huge. And it's like Lele Pons, like she went over there, and then
Yeah.
Drake Bell, if you know who that is, like from Drake and
Yeah. Yeah.
Josh,
Yeah.
like he
Yeah.
went over there and became a huge artist, and it's like
Damn. Okay. I mean, it's kind of sort of I don't know, a bit of a pay to win achievement then if it's that easy to go over and do that. But it's like, how long will they last after that? You know, with all that the top charts and stuff in another country where it's like really easy to do it. Like,
I've
I
heard
don't
that they
know.
also just really like anybody who's like funny looking over there. Like if you're just like got a weird look, like they just love it. They just think it's so funny. They just think it's so entertaining, and they'll just like listen to you over and over again. I guess I don't know if that's true.
I'm gonna have to go try then because I got weird looking hair, so they might like me over there. I don't know.
Do you ever see that guy who put the hooks in his head and then got a bunch of gold chains and hung them
Oh
from
my
his?
god, yeah, I saw that.
He
Man,
was
that looked
from
like it
there.
hurt. It looked like it hurt.
Yeah,
Never do that shit, man. I don't like all that like over the top looks just to get clout, you know, type thing. Like, I don't think it's a good thing to do.
no, because then you're really pigeonholing yourself at that point, and it's like especially if it doesn't work, like that's the worst thing. Like people get all these face tats and then it doesn't work, and it's like,
Yeah, and then
oh
they're stuck with
no,
that shit. Yeah, that
and like
that's why I'm never getting a face tattoo, man. I just no. don't like I don't like them that much. Like I used to be like, yeah, I want to get a face tattoo, but I feel like it was just because I wanted to be cool with all like the other people. But then I realized like that is there forever. I see so many people with bad ones on their above their eyebrows or like on their forehead or whatever. I'm just
It, it's like, oh shit, you still hear me?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. It's like, I agree with you. It was like kind of dope when it was like all the rappers like started doing it. I didn't see people in real life, and then I started to see people like actually getting them. And it's like the thing with like the little people like Crybaby tattoo. It's like it's insane that that looks as good as it does on him because if anybody else had that fucking tattoo, it
Yeah,
would like if you seen somebody with that tattoo, you'd be like, what the fuck, like
yeah.
or like
I
emotionally
feel that.
damaged or
I
you know.
feel that. But then again, I feel like tattoos are way more accepted now than they were like 10 years ago, maybe. So like everyone's doing it. That's the direction everyone.
I don't know. We're in like a weird place in the world where it's like a lot of things are starting to get more accepted, but like we still have that older generation that still kind of they still kind of run the world where it's like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
for
the
sure.
especially since like boomers like literally work until like they die basically. Like they never retire.
Yeah, and the thing is that I don't really know much about politics. Sort of try not to, but I know that like most of like the people in charge in like the states and even here in the UK a bit, everyone is like pushing 60 years old, if not older, which is like so fucked because they're all running it like how it would have been back in the day, whereas like that's not how it is anymore. So it's like that's why everything is so messed up because of that reason.
I think they got somebody like in I think he might have just passed away recently, but like House of Commons who was like 96 years old or something like that and like that he was like basically dementia riddled, like they had to prop him up. He had two secretaries that basically had to talk for him and shit. And then
That's
like
like what the retirement age here is like 67 or something. There
hmm,
is no need for you to work any longer than that. Like at that point, you're just doing it. Like I don't even know why you'd be doing it. To be honest.
I think it's because it's like once again like they get like all their life is work. They work their whole life, so they don't really have a whole lot. Or it's like they, what was I gonna say? It's like I think they just kind of almost get. It's almost like elder abuse in a way. You know what I mean? Like they're a
Yeah,
good politician for a long time, and they have all these beliefs, and like they have a name behind them, and then they get to the
yeah.
point where they start to go a little bit senile, and like they don't really have the ability at that point to choose to be like, okay, I don't want to be a like they're like people around them are like, okay, get up and read that, and they're just like they don't even know where the fuck they are half the time. Like it's like there should be an age limit. Like if you get to like
Oh
80 years
yeah.
old, you can't you can't be a politician anymore. Like go
I'd say
retire.
even lower than that. I'd probably say like 60, man. Like because the thing with like politics and stuff is like these old politicians, like a lot of their, you know, demographic and they're like people they grew up with are dying out because they're getting older. So their rules and stuff, a lot of us don't agree with it, and I feel like that's why being a politician, you should maybe be like mid 40s, mid 30s, so you're sort of up to date with what the next up generation sort of want, but you're also can cater towards the older generation. You have like the best of both worlds. Whereas like everyone that's like 60 and up, like they only give a shit about how it used to be back in the day and things like that. And it's as the world changes, they're not causing problems.
I also have heard though it's because like nobody wants to do it. Like nobody wants to be nobody who's younger wants to be a politician or go and do it because it's just like too much. I don't even know like what's gonna happen like because there's like I don't know like exactly how old you are, but I'm assuming like somewhere in your 20s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm 24.
24, yeah. So I'm like a couple years younger than you, but I feel like when the span to the late 90s to like the early about 2004, I think is
Hmm.
when it hits. Like it all depends on like I almost even feel like there's a generational cut due to like COVID as well because it's
Hmm.
like I was graduated like right before COVID started. So I never was in high school during COVID. I was never and then
Yeah.
I try to talk to kids who were And it's like I can't
Hmm.
relate to them because they're talking about like it was the worst time of my whole life being in high school. I couldn't go to prom. It's like fuck. I was like out working. I got laid off from my job. I was like sitting inside every day. There was no school. Like I would have rather been in fucking school at the time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, during COVID, I was at university, which is like an optional. That's like the equivalent of college in the US.
oh yeah, we got university too.
Yeah, yeah. So I was at university at that point, so
Hmm.
I understood it. But being in school, like high school and stuff, well, I've people that I've spoken to that were in high school at that time, like it sounded so bad because like they were having to do all their lessons online, and like they all just don't they didn't really learn anything because you're not in a educational environment. You're in your house with like all your games and all this shit, so you don't really give a give a shit about that stuff, you know. But like that generation that was in that period kind of messed up from that. So I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen
No,
when they like get older.
that's what I'm saying. It's like not even them. It's just like there's a certain cutoff where it's like you said they didn't learn anything and then they basically graduated for free. Like I know people who didn't even have enough credits. They were like 10 credits short and they just like the
Yeah,
schools just like get them out of here. Like they just passed them after COVID for some reason. Like these were people who were like in school with me and then they were staying back like a couple years or whatever. You know what I mean? And like COVID
yeah.
hit and they just graduated them.
So you guys can get kept back a year if you don't like achieve a certain score or something.
Uh, yeah, like it's kind of weird the way that high school works. Like you can in middle school, but the way that high school works is like it's not really necessarily like you can have grade 10 classes when you're in grade 11 or you can have grade 12 classes when you're so it's like
Okay.
you're not even but it's like if you just don't have enough credits, like if you haven't passed enough classes by the time that it's to graduate, like you don't
Yeah.
graduate because you don't have enough and you need to have it in different you need an art one, you need like a science, so many sciences, so many maths.
We kind of have that, but like you don't ever get held back a year here, and like we just have like at the end of our schooling thing. So year 11 is our like last year in school,
Hmm.
and you'll just have like loads of exams called GCSEs, and that's where you have like maths, English, science, and then you pick like 4 or 5 subjects that you want to do. So it could be like French, graphic design, or whatever,
Hmm.
and then you take all those tests, and then whatever results you get, like that's what you have to live with to get into like your next stages, so you of life, like
No, there's no, it's terrible. There's no transition here, basically. It's just like, I even explained, I really think they should change the school system. It's basically
Mhm.
you learn something in kindergarten, then you build on it every year. But I feel like once you get to grade 10, it should be more transitioning you to life. It's not at
Mhm.
all. They don't do anything to transition you to life. You just graduate, and it's like, okay, if you're a super good student, they'll give you 10 million scholarships, and then
Yeah,
you can go to college for free or go to university for free. So for like 10 to 20 kids in the grade who are super students, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And especially here, like, it's not even necessarily the people who are smart. It's just like whoever wants to like lick the teacher's balls the most, basically. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, you just end up out in life and you don't like. I remember well, COVID sucked as well, but I remember getting out there and being like, it's gonna be easy. Like, I just have to work a job, and then I
yeah,
can
yeah,
like
yeah.
support a apartment and it's like, oh no, I guess inflation, like everything it's hard to even make
we
ends meet, you know?
we don't like we don't really have that transition kind of into life. Like, they don't teach us life skills or anything, but we so when you finish school,
Hmm.
we go to you either go to something called sixth form or you go to college, which is like I don't know how to put it. It's like an in between university and school. So you go do that for 2 years, and you choose what you want to do. So like I went to college and I did graphic design for 2 years, and you study that from when you're like I think 15/16 until like 17, 18.
Hmm.
And then after that, you can either just go and get a job and finish your life or whatever, or you go to university after that. Um,
But college is that's not like an optional thing. That's like
so the college and sixth form, no, I think you have to do it. You have to go to either one of them, because you still are underage because you'll be under 18 still at that point. So you have to choose to do one of them, and then after that, you can either go to university or you don't. Your
that's
choice.
interesting because here it's basically you go to high school until you're 18 years old, and
Okay.
then when you get out, it's the same thing. Like both university and college are optional, where like universities are for higher, like it's different stuff, like higher paying jobs and stuff, and you have to take a bunch of bullshit courses to get to the end. I guess I haven't gone to
Hmm.
either. And then college is like a more like basic type of schooling where you maybe take one class a day to learn what you
Hmm.
need to do. But I don't know. I got friends who are like in university, and they say like you got to take like random philosophy classes and like Latin religion, like just to fill out credits for some fucking
What?
reason.
Nah, we don't. Like when I went to uni, it's just like you pick your course you want to do, and
Hmm.
that's all you do. Like I did graphic design, and all I did was just learn about graphic design. And you'd have different classes. Like I had a photography one because that is to do with graphic design, but I don't have to randomly do philosophy, some
Yeah,
shit like that. That
it's
doesn't make
it's
any
super
sense.
weird. I know like by the end of like my schooling, like I'd only failed like two classes, like a math class when I was like in grade 9 because I you
Mate,
don't
fuck,
realize like you actually have to try in high school,
mate,
and then
fuck maths though, man. Maths shit. I hate maths.
I failed it because I basically just didn't pay attention because you don't in middle school they don't really give a fuck, like they just pass you no
Yeah,
matter what for the most part unless you like actually can't read, actually can't like function, then they'll hold you back and it's more your parents' decision than anything like.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and like I know like at the end, basically the second half of my grade 12 year, I needed like three more um like whatever you call them there, like points to graduate, like
Hmm.
credits or whatever.
Yeah.
And we have this thing called co-op where they just put you in a workplace and then you work for like 3 hours and then that's counts as three classes, one credit for. So I go there in the
Oh, wow.
morning, and then I had afternoon classes, but I didn't go. I just went with my friend and just drank for like so basically that's what I did for the second half of my grade 12 year.
I
Uh,
mean, I feel like so is grade 12 the last years of your high school?
yeah.
Yeah. So for us, I feel like grade 11 and grade 12 is the equivalent of college or sixth form,
Hmm.
and then after that it's university. So you guys just have like one school up until 18, whereas we have to like change the year 11, which I don't really get why, but
Well, it's like
yeah.
it can be. You go to elementary, which is like 1 to 5, one grade one, kindergarten to 5. I don't know if you guys have kindergarten. Uh,
Yeah, nursery I think is what it's called here.
mm. And then that's like basically you learn like how to read and write, like all the basic stuff. And then in grade 6 to 8, it wasn't that like that for me because my elementary school just went to grade 8. But sometimes you go
Okay.
to a middle school, which is like
Hmm.
6 to 8, and then after that you go to high school, which is like 9 to 12, and that's like the actual school that you know
You gotta actually do shit.
shit matters. You have to take different because like in the other schools you're basically in a classroom and then you have this class that you're with every single day. You know what I mean? You go to
Okay.
every subject with them. Once you get to high
Yeah, yeah.
school, then you have to
That's
go to
same here.
you have like a homeroom, but I never even
Yeah.
understood why we had a homeroom because we never did anything there besides fire drills.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It's kind of crazy how different it is, but everyone still gets the same sort of education, except they don't really teach us about like how to build a business or how to do your taxes and stuff like that, which is like important stuff we should learn when we're in school, but we don't. So,
they don't they don't teach us. There was an entrepreneurship class.
uh-huh.
And it was the worst class I ever took. Like it basically, I don't know how you can even teach somebody to be an entrepreneur. Like it
Yeah.
was just like they made us like make clay products and then try to sell them to the class, and then like try to start like a build like an arcade machine like out of cardboard and then see if you can get kids to play it, and then whoever gets the most money at the end. It was like you don't really
That
get to keep the money or whatever. It was
doesn't sound like entrepreneurship at all. Like we can take business as
mm,
a GCSE, and they teach you like I did it and I can barely remember it. They like teach you about how businesses work and stuff like that, but like we didn't build a clay model and try sell it to people. That just it's kind
no.
of crazy.
The teacher hated us too, and he basically like failed us by I think like 2 points or something.
Oh,
Because at the last project of the year, you had to set up an actual business, but it's like not really like you had to like set up an actual business, but like a fake business, and then try to
yeah,
pitch it to them. So we like
yeah,
came
yeah.
up with a food truck, and basically did the whole project. And then he's like, "Did you call the health board to see if it would clear?" I was like, "Well, I didn't actually buy a fucking food truck, so why would I waste?" And he's like, "Ah, I see." and then basically failed us by 2 points. It's like, what
Hey,
the
what a bit
fuck?
crazy.
Like, yeah, I bought a food truck for this fucking project so I could, pass this
Yeah,
class. But
that's so stupid.
yeah, school is, I don't know. Like I said, I think it needs a restructure, especially now with the kids now that are iPad kids. Like, I don't even think they should have phones in school because it's like, I would imagine being a teacher and like trying to teach a class and every kid is just like recording you for TikTok and just being like,
Yeah,
all this
I
shit.
think when I was at school, like phones were like when I was in secondary school, so high school for you, like phones were a thing, but we was on like iPhone 4 back then. They
There's
were
no
like,
TikTok.
yeah, there wasn't really TikTok. It was Vine. That's what it was. But
Yeah.
like our school was like, you can have phones on your lunch break and stuff, but you can't have them in the class. Otherwise, you get like kicked, get it confiscated and shit. So
No, yeah.
I feel like I have no idea what schools are like now, but I do always see TikToks of people in class.
It's
Bruh,
awful.
that was never run back.
You need to like, I feel like clout needs to be an 18 plus thing.
Yeah,
Like, you can't
yeah,
have
yeah,
clout as a kid. You're gonna end up fucked up, or you're gonna end up like not well adjusted, or
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I really feel like we're getting to the point with like antics and shit. Like, I don't get me wrong, I like some antics, like when rappers do different shit. I find it entertaining to a certain extent.
yeah.
But like, I think kids now, like, they're just gonna get themselves like actually fucking killed just for clout. Like, they're just gonna like jump into traffic and just be like, oh, jump into like
Oh
you
yeah,
already see shit like that.
there's loads of stuff like that. Like I remember seeing like the Tide Pod challenge like a few years ago where people would like eat those washing machine tablets and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm like, what the fuck? Like, to be fair, yeah, like when I was a kid, I was like, yo, this looks like a sweet or like a candy, but like I knew to not eat it because I would die. But like, people don't have knowledge like that these days. Like,
and the
how?
Benadryl thing is the same. Like, just taking like take 40 Benadryls and you'll hallucinate and then record yourself on TikTok and kids are just dying. Or like, there was another one too where it was like something like some challenge where it's like go like lay put by the shore or something and like see how long like try to fall asleep or something. It's like kids are just getting drug out into like the ocean and just like fucking dying.
What the?
Or
Yeah,
like,
mate, we're finished, bro. The humans are finished if this is the way that things are going, man. I don't even know what to
or
tell you.
even the shit where it's like, oh, if you don't have a dad to help you out, be a mechanic, I'll show you what to do. You want to sand all this shit off your tires to smooth them out or whatever. Just and people do that shit. Like,
Bro,
it's
it's
you can
crazy,
charge your
man.
iPhone by putting it in a microwave, and then the
Yeah,
microwave
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
explodes. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, so fish.
You know what though? If you can ever find a way to market to them, then you're winning though. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
figure out how to do. How do I get that little autistic Zoomer, you know,
yeah. You got
audience?
to make the videos with like the Subway Surfers in the bottom corner and like GTA gameplay on the other side
Yeah.
and like kinetic sand stuff.
Oh my god.
That's it.
People make supposedly people make I don't know. I don't believe that shit half the time. You get all these guys who are like, "Let me show you how to build a business online. I got a gold watch." And it's like, "Do you really got money though, or do you just like you
The
wouldn't be
alpha
trying to sell a
TikTokers.
course if you had money, would you?"
Yeah. Nah, that they might have money, but like not as much as they put on that they do.
Hmm.
And then they're just trying to make money from these stupid little courses that they do. And I think it's all dumb. Whenever I see that shit, I'm just like the thing is like the younger people like look up to these people and they're oh yeah, this is so cool. I want to be like this guy with all the Rolexes and the cars and stuff, bragging about it on TikTok and super materialistic. Everything. Not a good way to be, but
The translation on that shit can't be that great either. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that, like, I've seen it before where people will try to sell courses and they'll be like, I'm a huge fan of you, but like I don't have money. Like, they don't want to, but some people probably do. Like, I guess that's kind of like how like Tate made a lot of his money, I think, is just by
mhm.
selling random courses to like people. You get in a Discord server, it's like
Yeah.
$400.
Well, yeah, lot of his money came from like he like managed OnlyFans people, some shit like that,
Hmm.
and he got a lot of money from that. And then when he started getting like loads of like fans, like when he was super viral, then he started doing that like hate course or whatever the fuck it was called, where like everyone would sign up, would pay
Yeah.
$40 a month to learn how to be a businessman or this shit, and he's just raking in the money from.
Hustlers
doing his
University. I think I seen that was crazy on Reels for a while. Like I would see,
yeah.
and the comments were like insane too. The comments now blow my mind because it's like I remember back in the day you'd watch a video before like COVID and now everybody went online and you would look in the
Hmm.
comments and it was always like you'd always kind of agree and it'd always be like if somebody posted something like super cringy or corny, people in the
Hmm.
comments would call them out. Now it's like somebody will post a video of them just like assaulting a police officer and everyone in the comments is like that fucking pig. And it's like damn, I get you don't like police officers or whatever if you don't
Yeah.
like police officers, but like what's wrong with people? It's crazy.
Yeah, everything's so cult-ish now. Even with the Tate stuff, like there's such a fan base of like weird people that just are obsessed with him. Move. It's kind of mad though, because they're from England, originally. Tate and that they come from England.
Yeah, he kind of
So
talks with like the weirdest accent I've ever fucking heard in my life.
yeah, it's because he lived in England for a bit and then like moved to the States or something. I think
Yeah,
it's
because that's what they said. It's like a UK accent. I'm like, it doesn't even. It sounds like he just talks like he has like rubber in his mouth or something. Like the way he says certain shit. Like it doesn't sound like he doesn't sound overly British. He'll just say like he enunciates words sometimes and like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but not
yeah,
even
yeah.
like in a British dialect. Just in like fucking weird
No.
way. Like
When I first heard him, like when I first ever heard him, I was like, I did not think he was British at all. It was until I learned that he was British.
I guess that happens though with accents. You get mixed. Do I
Yeah,
sound like
yeah.
a? Do I sound like a American?
Uh, a bit, but like sometimes like you'd pronunciate stuff, and I could hear that you have like a bit of a Canadian, and then I could tell the difference between the two. But to like most people, like when I was younger, I couldn't tell the difference between a Canadian and an American. I just thought they were the same. Which I know like Canadians hate it when people say that, but
I mean, like I find like I know people who are out here who really have like crazy accents, but it's like I just find it weird when I do YouTube videos where I'll just say like somebody said I can tell you're Canadian by the way you say car, and I'm like,
yeah, yeah. I see. I can when you say it like that, I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You say like R like that, and you say words like that, I'm like, yeah.
how do you
But
say it?
when I say car,
Call, okay,
car.
like with a W, okay, I got yeah,
So do I sound British to you?
yeah, definitely.
Fuck. Because every time I meet like someone that's like American or something, they're like, "You guys sound so British. It's unbelievable." But to me, I just sound normal. I don't sound British
It's
necessarily.
just like with like you say like maths with like an S.
Math, math. Yeah, but it depends where you're from in England. Like if you're up north, they pronounce things differently to how they pronounce it from where I'm from.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
because
get different out.
I don't know how much like they would be like I don't know how popular they are over there, but like you know like the sidemen and stuff, like they all have different
Oh,
accents.
KSI and all them guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're massively popular with like the younger generation. But yeah,
I thought they
they
worked too, because like he even tops the charts over there, doesn't he? Like that's insane for a YouTuber
what
to be able to do.
KSI?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was doing music, he definitely was. Um, I mean, I wasn't the greatest fan of his music, I guess, but I can respect the fact that he's doing sold out tours and shit when he was doing it. So he's clearly doing something.
See, the thing is though, like what I kind of find weird about his music is that like people who have an accent or like are from the UK, when you guys like rap or sing, it doesn't really come through most of the time. For some reason, it disappears. But
Yeah,
for him, it was like I never really thought he had much of an accent. But then he'll rap and he'll be like, I'm popping, you know, and it's like, where the fuck is this accent coming from? Like, you never had this shit before.
yeah.
That little
I
pump
feel
song.
like the further, like for me, my accent sometimes disappears when I make my music. But like people that are up north with like the northern UK accents, you can hear their accents so thickly even when they're rapping. I mean, with Scarlord, he's from Midland slash up north. His accent completely disappears, but he's like screaming, so I feel like it's a bit different. But if he rapped normally, I feel like you might be able to hear his Birmingham accent a bit more.
I had no idea he was from the UK at first. Where's
Yeah, no one does.
Central C from?
I can't stand Central C, but he's from. I would assume London. I think he's from London because he's one of those like roadman
Would you
from
say
back
you
in
can't
the day.
stand him?
Yeah, I don't like his music that much.
No, me neither. I can't lie. Me neither.
Yeah.
But all right, sweet. I see that it's like nighttime. I kind of seen the sun go down in the background there.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's pitch black right now.
so is there anything, any shout outs you want to give to people or anything like you got coming up to promote any type of?
Guys, I have a new song coming in January. I don't know when it is yet. I'm waiting for the date, but look forward to that. If you have heard Lovely Bastards before and my remix of it, it's similar to that. So to that. Otherwise, if you haven't already, check out the UK alternative trap metal scene because there are some great people in it that I feel like deserve the spotlight. I feel like the UK deserve the spotlight a little bit more. So you should check us all out because we make sick music.
Definitely, definitely want to start covering it a little bit more too when I can eventually work my way over there to
Yeah, I
talk.
mean, whenever this is up, I'll probably share it, and you might get a couple people that will hit you up from the UK scene. So, you know, they'll introduce themselves, and you'll probably be away with the fairies from there.
Awesome. For sure, because I want to see like I know some people like in Bosnia now, Slovakia, like it's like shit. It's cool to see. Like somebody was telling me there's like Japanese trap metal artists. I'm like that's
Yeah,
crazy. Like I would
yeah,
love to. I gotta look up some of that shit because they probably
yeah,
go
man,
crazy on that. You
for
know,
sure.
especially since they're so like mild mannered over there. Like they're just
Yeah,
gonna. They probably got a lot of built up shit. But yeah.
yeah.
All right, for sure. Well, I appreciate you doing the interview and any words for the youth before we leave.
Uh, Honestly, just do whatever you feel like is fun. If you're doing music for the fun of it, make sure it stays that way because that's how you make your best stuff. Don't chase the numbers or the clout. Just make whatever you want to and do it for fun, and that's all of that shit will come along with that.
Awesome. All right. Appreciate you. Peace out.